Steve Harvey stopped the show when a contestant's father appeared after 30 years. In a stunning twist that shocked everyone, a long-lost father stepped onto the stage, shattering years of silence and unanswered questions. This unexpected reunion wasn't just a moment of joy. It was a powerful confrontation with a past that had haunted both father and daughter. As emotions surged and memories flooded back, the stakes soared higher than ever before. What would this moment mean for their future? Emily stood on the brightly lit stage, her heart racing as the spotlight bore down on her like a weighty blanket. She wasn't just another contestant. She was a woman carrying the weight of a 30-year absence, a lifetime filled with questions, pain, and unfulfilled dreams. This is my chance, she thought, her hands trembling slightly as she gripped the microphone, the cool metal grounding her in the moment. The audience roared around her, a sea of faces blurred by her anxiety. But all she could hear was the echo of her father's absence, a ghost haunting her every thought. As the game began, each question felt like a countdown to a revelation she both craved and feared. Would her father ever come back? What if he was in the audience, watching her struggle? Memories flooded her mind, the laughter they shared, the games they played, and the day he simply vanished without a trace. I've waited so long for this moment, she whispered to herself, a mix of hope and dread twisting in her stomach. The host, a charismatic figure with an infectious smile, called out the first question. Emily's mind raced as she tried to focus. As she answered, she felt a surge of adrenaline. Her confidence began to build with each correct response. The bright lights and the cheers of the audience momentarily drowned out her fears, but her heart remained heavy with the weight of her past. Each answer was not just a step toward victory. It was a step toward reconciling the years of confusion and heartache. If only my father could see me now, she thought, a tear slipping down her cheek, mingling with the sweat from her brow. She thought about how much she had grown, how far she had come, and yet how much she still longed for that missing piece of her life. The memories of her childhood flooded back with vivid intensity. The stories he used to tell, the way he could make her laugh even on the hardest days, and the devastating silence that followed his disappearance. As the game progressed, Emily felt a strange mix of exhilaration and sorrow. The questions became harder, but she found herself rising to the challenge. With each correct answer, she felt a surge of confidence. Yet the deeper prize, the chance for closure, for understanding, remained elusive. She could almost hear his voice encouraging her, telling her to push through, to fight for what she wanted. But just as she was about to answer the penultimate question, her mind faltered. The stage lights dimmed for a moment, and in that fleeting darkness, she imagined her father standing in the shadows, watching her with pride. What would he say? Would he be proud of who I've become? Those thoughts propelled her forward, reigniting her determination. Then, as the final question loomed, a hush fell over the audience. Time seemed to stretch, her heart pounding in her chest like a drum. She could feel the weight of their expectations, the collective hope that her story would end in triumph. This is not just a game, she reminded herself. This is my life, my story. Little did she know, this game was just the beginning of an emotional journey, one that would challenge her resolve and test her understanding of family, forgiveness, and the power of reconciliation. As she prepared to answer the final question, Emily took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next, knowing that it could lead her to the answers she had been searching for all her life. The atmosphere backstage buzzed with anticipation as Emily stepped off the stage, her heart still racing from the thrill of the contest. She had done it. She had faced her fears and answered the questions that haunted her. But as the adrenaline faded, a new wave of uncertainty washed over her. What would happen now? Would this truly lead to the answers she sought? As she made her way through the crowd, fans and fellow contestants congratulated her, their smiles genuine and warm. Yet amidst the joy, Emily felt an emptiness creeping in. The cheers felt distant and the accolades hollow without her father there to share in her success. I need to find him, she thought, determination reigniting within her. She had come too far to let this moment slip away. After the show, Emily found herself in a small green room filled with posters of past champions and trophies that gleamed under the fluorescent lights. She took a deep breath, trying to calm the whirlwind of emotions inside her. Just then, the host entered, his smile as bright as ever. "Emily, that was an incredible performance. You have a real gift," he said, clapping her on the back. "You're going to go far in this competition." "Thank you," she replied, forcing a smile. "But I can't shake the feeling that something is missing." The host's expression softened. "I understand. Sometimes, the journey is just as important as the destination. If you ever need to talk, I'm here." As he left, Emily took a moment to reflect. She had come to compete, but now she felt a deeper calling, to seek closure, to understand the past. She glanced at her phone and hesitated, her finger hovering over a contact she hadn't dialed in years. It was her mother. Would she have any answers? With a deep breath, she pressed call. The line rang, and she felt her heart pound. As her mother's voice finally came through, she was taken back to the days before her father left, the times when they were a family. "Emily?" Her mother's voice was cautious, tinged with a mix of surprise and concern. "Is everything okay?" "Mom, I need to know about Dad. I need to understand why he left," Emily said, her voice trembling. It was time to confront the truth. There was a long pause on the other end. "Meet me at our old cafe. I'll explain everything." The cafe was a small, cozy place, filled with memories. The aroma of coffee and pastries lingering in the air, the laughter of customers blending with the soft music playing in the background. As Emily entered, she spotted her mother sitting at a corner table, her fingers nervously tracing the rim of her coffee cup. "Hi, Mom," Emily said softly, taking a seat across from her. "Hi, sweetheart." Her mother looked older, the lines on her face deeper than Emily remembered. "You've grown so much." "Thanks. I wish we could have had more time together," Emily replied, the weight of unspoken words hanging between them. "I want to know what happened with Dad. Why did he leave?" Her mother sighed heavily, the pain evident in her eyes. "It was complicated, Emily. Your father, he struggled with things we couldn't understand. He loved you, but he couldn't face the reality of his life. He thought leaving would be best for us." Tears welled in Emily's eyes. "But it wasn't. It broke our family." "I know," her mother said, her voice trembling. "I should have fought harder to keep him, to make him stay. I thought he would come back, that he would find his way home." Emily felt a surge of anger mixed with sadness. "You didn't even try to find him." "I did, Emily. I searched everywhere. But sometimes people get lost in their own darkness, and they don't know how to return. I thought if I waited long enough, he would come back." The pain of years of unanswered questions surged within her. Does he even know how much I've missed him? How much I wanted him to be part of my life? I don't know, her mother admitted, tears streaming down her face. But I've heard things. Rumors. He's been spotted in town. I wanted to protect you from the hurt, but maybe it's time you find him. Emily's heart raced at the possibility. He's here? After all these years? Yes, but it won't be easy. He might not be the same man you remember. I have to try, Emily said, her voice steady. I need to know the truth. As they talked, the bond between mother and daughter began to mend. The shared pain bringing them closer together. Emily's mother shared stories of her father that she hadn't heard in years. How he used to sing to her as a child. How he would take them on spontaneous adventures. And how his laughter could light up a room. Each memory pierced Emily's heart, a reminder of what had been lost. You were his pride and joy, you know, her mother said, her voice softening. He always believed you would do great things. Emily nodded, feeling a mixture of warmth and sorrow. I just wish he could have been here to see me. I know, her mother replied, reaching across the table to squeeze Emily's hand. We both wanted him to be part of our lives. But sometimes life takes unexpected turns. You deserve to know the truth, and if he is here, we can find him together. The thought of seeking her father filled Emily with both excitement and dread. The cafe around them buzzed with life, but in that moment, it felt like they were in a world of their own, suspended in time. Do you think he would even want to see me? Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Her mother's eyes shimmered with empathy. He may have changed, but a part of him will always love you. You deserve closure, and you need to know if he still cares. As they sat together, sharing hopes and fears, Emily felt an unexpected warmth bloom in her chest. The journey ahead would be daunting, but she was no longer alone. With her mother by her side, she felt empowered to confront the past. After finishing their coffees, they left the cafe, stepping out into the crisp evening air. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the town, and Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. She had taken the first step toward uncovering the truth, and she was ready to face whatever lay ahead. As they walked, her mother pointed out places they used to visit as a family. Each stop evoked memories, some joyous, others bittersweet. But each moment reminded Emily of the life they had shared before everything changed. I remember when we used to come here after school, Emily said, laughing softly. You always ordered the chocolate cake, and I would steal bites when you weren't looking. Her mother chuckled, a hint of nostalgia in her voice. And you'd pretend it was a huge crime if I caught you. The laughter faded into a comfortable silence, but the weight of their conversation lingered. Emily's mind raced with possibilities about her father. What if he was in the same town, living a different life without her? What if he had moved on without looking back? The questions piled up, but she pushed them aside, focusing instead on the determination swelling within her. Mom, I want to start looking for him tomorrow, Emily said suddenly, her voice firm. Are you sure? Her mother asked, concern etched on her face. I need to know. I can't wait any longer, Emily replied, her resolve unshakable. I want to find him and hear his side of the story. As they approached the park where Emily had played as a child, her heart raced with anticipation and fear. She was ready to embark on a journey that would lead her to her father, but she knew it wouldn't be easy. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with emotional landmines, but she was prepared to face them all. Little did she know, this quest would lead to revelations that would challenge her understanding of love, forgiveness, and the very essence of family. With each step, Emily felt the weight of her past lifting just a little, replaced by a glimmer of hope for the future. The morning sun broke through the clouds, casting a warm glow over the town as Emily prepared for the day ahead. The events of the past night felt surreal. After reconnecting with her mother, she had spent hours tossing and turning, her mind racing with thoughts of her father and the possibility of finally finding him after all these years. Today was the day she would begin her search. Emily dressed quickly, opting for comfortable jeans and a soft sweater, knowing she might be doing a lot of walking. As she laced up her sneakers, she reviewed her plan in her mind. First, she would visit the local library to research any recent sightings of her father. Then, she would check out the places he used to frequent, hoping to find someone who might have seen him. Her mother had mentioned that people often gathered at the community center, a place where her father used to volunteer. If he's still around, someone there might know him, her mother had suggested. The thought filled Emily with a mix of hope and anxiety. She could imagine her father there, surrounded by laughter and community, yet completely unaware of the life he had left behind. After a quick breakfast, she grabbed her bag and headed out the door. The crisp air greeted her, invigorating her spirit. She walked through the familiar streets, the sights and sounds triggering memories of her childhood. Each step felt like a step back in time, a reminder of the life she once had. The library stood at the end of the block, its old brick facade welcoming her with a sense of nostalgia. As she entered, the smell of aged books and polished wood filled the air, transporting her to a place of comfort. She approached the front desk, where a friendly librarian greeted her. "Good morning. How can I help you today?" the librarian asked, her smile warm and genuine. "Hi, I'm looking for information about someone," Emily said, her heart racing. "My father went missing years ago, and I've heard he might be in town. Do you have any local news archives or records?" "Of course. We have a section dedicated to local history and news clippings." "Follow me," the librarian replied, leading Emily to a quiet corner of the library. As they walked, Emily's mind raced with questions. Would she find anything that could lead her to her father? What if the search turned up nothing? She pushed those thoughts aside, focusing on the task at hand. The librarian pulled out a large binder filled with newspaper clippings. "These archives go back several decades. You can look through them and see if any articles mention your father." "Thank you so much," Emily said, her voice filled with gratitude. She carefully rifled through the pages, scanning for any mention of her father's name. Her heart sank as she flipped through the clippings, most of them detailing community events and local news. But she pressed on, determined to find something, anything that could help her. Minutes turned into hours as Emily pored over the articles. Just as she was about to give up hope, she spotted a familiar name in a headline: "Local hero rescues family from fire." Her heart raced as she read the article, which described a man who had bravely entered a burning building to save a family trapped inside. The date was just a few months prior, and the description of the man matched her father's. Could it really be him? She whispered to herself, a mix of excitement and disbelief flooding her senses. She quickly noted the details of the article, including the location where the rescue had taken place. With newfound determination, Emily thanked the librarian and rushed out of the library, clutching the article tightly in her hand. She had a lead, and she wasn't going to let it slip away. Her next stop was the community center, a bustling hub of activity where people of all ages gathered for various events. As she approached, she could hear laughter and music spilling out into the parking lot. The sight of so much life filled her with hope, but also with nerves. What if no one remembered her father? What if he had changed so much that no one recognized him? Steeling herself, Emily pushed through the doors and entered the main hall. The room was filled with the sound of chatter and the clinking of dishes as people enjoyed lunch together. She scanned the room, searching for anyone who might have known her father. "Can I help you?" A cheerful voice interrupted her thoughts. A woman in her 50s approached, her apron covered in flour from baking. "Yes, I'm looking for information about my father. He used to volunteer here," Emily explained, her voice steady despite the flutter of nerves in her stomach. "What's his name?" the woman asked, her expression turning serious. "His name is Jack Thompson," Emily replied. The woman's face softened, and she nodded slowly. "I remember Jack. He was a wonderful man, always ready to lend a hand. But I haven't seen him in quite some time. Are you looking for him?" "Yes," Emily said, her heart racing. "I've heard he might be in town. I just need to know where he is now." "I wish I could help you," the woman said, her brow furrowing in thought. "Last I heard, he was struggling a bit. But there was talk of him hanging around the old diner on Maple Street. It's a local spot where the regulars tend to gather." Emily felt a surge of hope. "Thank you. I'll check there." As she left the community center, her heart pounded with excitement and fear. She was getting closer to finding him. But what would she say when she did? What if he didn't want to see her? The possibilities swirled in her mind, but she pushed them aside. She had to try. The diner was a quaint, retro establishment with a bright neon sign flickering in the sunlight. As Emily stepped inside, the smell of freshly brewed coffee and greasy comfort food enveloped her. She scanned the room, looking for familiar faces, but the place was filled with strangers. Taking a deep breath, Emily approached the counter, where an older man with a friendly smile was wiping down the surface. "Excuse me. Do you know a man named Jack Thompson?" she asked, her voice slightly trembling. The man looked up, his expression thoughtful. "Jack? Yes, he used to come in here often, but I haven't seen him in a while. He was a good guy, always had a story to tell." "Do you know where he might be now?" Emily pressed, her heart racing at the thought of finding her father. The man hesitated, then pointed toward a table in the corner. "He used to sit over there. You might want to ask the folks at that table. They might know more about him. They're regulars and always chat with him." Emily nodded, her heart pounding as she approached the table. The group of older men and women looked up as she approached, their conversations fading into silence. "Excuse me, I'm looking for Jack Thompson. I believe he used to come here," Emily said, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. One of the men, a kind-looking gentleman with silver hair, nodded slowly. "Yes, we remember Jack. He's been going through a tough time, but I think he's still around. Last I heard, he was staying at the old motel on the edge of town." "Do you know if he's okay?" Emily asked, concern flooding her voice. The man sighed. "He had some demons to deal with, but he's a survivor. If you're looking for him, it's worth checking the motel. He might need someone to reach out to him." With that, Emily thanked them and rushed out of the diner, her heart racing with anticipation. She had a solid lead now, and she was determined to find her father, to confront the past and seek the truth. As she drove toward the motel, she felt a whirlwind of emotions: hope, fear, and a growing sense of purpose. Today could change everything. She could finally understand why her father had left, and perhaps they could begin to heal the wounds of the past. Pulling into the parking lot of the old motel, Emily took a moment to collect herself. The building was worn but held a certain charm, a testament to its history. She could see a few people milling about, but it was quiet, almost too quiet. Taking a deep breath, she stepped out of the car and walked toward the entrance. Her heart raced as she approached the front desk, where a middle-aged woman was sorting through papers. "Excuse me," Emily said, her voice slightly trembling. "I'm looking for Jack Thompson. Do you know if he's staying here?" The woman looked up, her expression shifting to one of recognition. "Jack? Yes, he's been here. Room 12, but he hasn't been himself lately. Are you family?" "Yes, I'm his daughter," Emily replied, her heart pounding in her chest. "I need to talk to him." The woman nodded, her gaze sympathetic. "Just be gentle with him. He's been through a lot." With a mix of anxiety and determination, Emily walked down the dimly lit hallway toward room 12. Each step felt heavy, as if the weight of the years pressed down on her. She reached the door and paused, taking a deep breath to steady herself. "This is it," she thought, her heart racing. "I'm going to find him." With a trembling hand, she knocked softly on the door. The sound echoed in the stillness, and she held her breath, waiting. Moments passed, and just as she was about to knock again, she heard a shuffling sound from inside. The door creaked open, and there he stood, her father. Jack Thompson looked older than she remembered, his face lined with weariness and shadows of a life hard-lived. His eyes met hers, and for a moment, time stood still. The recognition sparked a flood of emotions: joy, anger, confusion, and an overwhelming sense of longing. "Emily," he whispered, disbelief coloring his voice. "Dad," she breathed, tears filling her eyes. "It's really me." He stared at her, his expression a mix of shock and uncertainty. What are you doing here?" His voice was gravelly, as if he hadn't used it much in recent days. "I came to find you," she said, her heart pounding in her chest. "I need to understand why you left us. Why you left me." Jack's gaze dropped to the floor, shame washing over his features. "I didn't want to hurt you. I thought it would be better this way." Emily felt a surge of frustration. "Better? You left us without any explanation. Do you know how much that hurt? How many nights I spent wondering what I did wrong? Why you didn't love me enough to stay?" "I was lost, Emily," he said, his voice cracking. "I thought I could protect you by disappearing. I thought you would have a better life without me dragging you down." "How could you think that?" Emily countered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You don't know what it was like for us. Mom struggled without you, and I needed my dad." Jack stepped back, leaning against the doorframe as if the weight of her words was too much to bear. "I didn't know how to face you. I didn't know how to be the man you needed me to be." Emily took a step forward, her heart aching for the father she had lost. "But I want to understand. I want to know who you are now. Please, let me in." After a moment of hesitation, Jack opened the door wider, allowing her to step inside. The room was small and cluttered, filled with remnants of a life lived in shadows. A worn-out couch sat against one wall, and a small table was piled high with papers and empty coffee cups. The air was thick with a sense of neglect, but Emily felt a flicker of hope. "I've been trying to make sense of everything," Jack said, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I don't know if I can explain it all." Emily sat down on the edge of the couch, her heart racing. "Just start somewhere. Tell me about what happened after you left." Jack ran a hand through his hair, his eyes filled with regret. I fell apart, Emily. I lost my job, and I didn't know how to cope. I turned to things that only made it worse. I thought I was protecting you by staying away. But the truth is, I was just running from my own demons. Tears welled in Emily's eyes as she listened to her father's confession. But that doesn't have to be the end of the story. You can still make things right. We can work through this together. Jack looked at her, surprise flickering in his eyes. You really want to? After everything I've put you through? Of course I do, Emily replied, her voice steady. I've missed you. I've needed you. I just want to know my dad again. A long silence hung between them, filled with unspoken emotions. Jack's vulnerability opened a crack in the wall he had built around himself, and for the first time in years, he allowed himself to feel the weight of his choices. I'm scared, Emily, he admitted, his voice trembling. What if I can't be the father you need? What if I fail you again? You won't know unless you try, she said, her heart swelling with hope. I'm here, and I want to help you. We can face this together. Jack took a deep breath, his eyes glistening with tears. I don't know if I deserve your forgiveness, but I want to try. I want to be better for you. Emily reached across the space between them, taking his hand in hers. Then let's take that first step together. We have a lot to talk about, and I want to hear everything. I want to understand who you are now. As they sat together, the weight of the years began to lift, replaced by the fragile beginnings of healing. Emily felt a sense of connection she had longed for, a spark of hope igniting in her heart. She knew the road ahead would be challenging, but she was determined to walk it with her father, to rebuild the relationship they had lost. Let's start with the good memories, she suggested, her voice softening. Tell me about the times we spent together before everything changed. Jack smiled faintly, his eyes lighting up for the first time. I remember taking you to the park, teaching you how to ride your bike. You were so determined, falling over and over again. But you never gave up. Emily chuckled, a warmth spreading through her. And you kept running beside me, cheering me on. I remember thinking you were my superhero. Maybe I can be that again, Jack said, a hint of hope threading through his words. But I need to earn that title back. As they exchanged stories, laughter and tears mingling in the air, Emily felt the walls around her heart begin to crack. She was finally getting to know the man behind the mistakes, the father who had once been her hero. Together, they would navigate the complexities of forgiveness and healing, step by step. Emily knew that this was just the beginning, but for the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of peace wash over her. They had a long journey ahead, but she was ready to embrace it. With her father by her side, she felt hopeful about the future, ready to uncover the truth and build a new relationship, one that could withstand the trials that lay ahead. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the motel room as Emily and Jack settled into an uneasy rhythm of conversation. They shared stories filled with laughter, pain, and the longing for connection. Two lives once intertwined, now seeking to rediscover each other amidst the wreckage of the past. As the afternoon faded into evening, Emily felt a sense of warmth enveloping her. The initial shock of their reunion began to settle, replaced by a growing hope. Jack, despite his weariness, seemed eager to reconnect, his eyes sparkling with a hint of the father she remembered from her childhood. You mentioned you used to volunteer at the community center, Emily prompted, hoping to draw him further out of his shell. What did you enjoy most about it? Jack leaned back against the couch, his expression softening. I loved working with the kids. We ran a summer camp for a few years, and I got to teach them how to play sports and do arts and crafts. It was rewarding to see them excited about learning new things. Emily smiled, picturing her father in that role, his laughter filling the air as he encouraged children to try their best. I remember you always had a way of making things fun. You taught me how to ride a bike by turning it into a game. Exactly, he laughed, the sound echoing in the small room. You were so stubborn, but you never gave up. That determination is what made you special. I always admired that about you. Thanks, Dad, she said, her heart swelling with emotion. I guess I just wanted to make you proud. You have no idea how proud I am, he replied, his voice earnest. Even when I wasn't there, I thought about you constantly. I was always rooting for you from a distance. The acknowledgement hung in the air, heavy with unspoken truths. Emily felt a blend of gratitude and sadness. It's hard to feel that pride when you're not around, she admitted, her voice wavering. I know, Jack said, his gaze dropping. I can't change the past, Emily. All I can do is try to be better moving forward. As the evening progressed, they began to discuss their lives apart. Jack shared stories of his struggles, the battles he fought with addiction, and the demons that had haunted him since leaving. Emily listened intently, her heart aching for the father who had lost so much but still held onto a glimmer of hope. I hit rock bottom a few times, Jack confessed, his voice thick with emotion. There were days I didn't want to get out of bed. I thought about reaching out to you, but I was too ashamed. I didn't want to bring that darkness back into your life. But you're here now, Emily said, her voice steady. And I want to help you. We can face this together. Jack looked at her, his eyes shimmering with unshed tears. You're stronger than I ever was. I don't deserve you. Stop saying that, Emily replied firmly. You're my dad, and I still want you in my life. We can work through this. As night fell, Emily suggested they go for a walk outside. The air was crisp and refreshing, a welcome change from the stuffy motel room. Together, they strolled through the quiet streets, the stars twinkling above them like distant hopes. Do you remember stargazing with me when I was little? Emily asked, breaking the comfortable silence. Jack smiled, a genuine warmth spreading across his face. Of course. We'd lay on the grass, and I'd tell you stories about the constellations. You were so fascinated by them. I wanted to believe that we could reach for the stars, Emily said softly, her voice laced with nostalgia. But when you left, it felt like those stars dimmed for me. Jack stopped walking, turning to face her. I'm so sorry, Emily. I didn't realize the impact my choices would have on you. I thought I was protecting you by staying away, but I see now how wrong I was. Tears welled in Emily's eyes. It's okay, Dad. We can't change what happened, but we can create new memories. We can find a way to move forward together. Jack nodded, his expression serious. I want that too. I want to be the father you deserve, but I need to work on myself first. Emily felt a surge of hope. Then let's do it together. We can find support and resources. I'll help you every step of the way. As they walked, the conversation shifted to their future. Emily found herself sharing her dreams and aspirations, the excitement of her upcoming challenges in the competition, and her desire to make a difference in the world. I always wanted to be a role model, just like you were for me, Emily said, her eyes lighting up. I want to inspire others to keep going, no matter how hard things get. Jack listened intently, his heart swelling with pride. You've always had that spark. I see so much of myself in you, and I'm grateful for a second chance to be part of your life. When they returned to the motel, they both felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted from their shoulders. The conversation had opened a door to healing, and although they knew the journey ahead would be difficult, they were ready to face it together. As Emily settled into her bed that night, she felt a sense of peace wash over her. The future was still uncertain, but she had hope, a hope that her father could reclaim his place in her life, that they could build a new foundation of trust and love. The following days were filled with moments of discovery for both of them. They began attending support groups together, where Jack found a community that understood his struggles. Emily stood by his side, cheering him on as he opened up about his past and took steps toward recovery. Every small victory felt monumental. Jack celebrated each day of sobriety, each moment of clarity, and with Emily's support, he found the strength to face his demons. Their bond deepened as they shared laughter and tears, navigating the complexities of their newfound relationship. One evening, after a particularly empowering support group, Jack turned to Emily with a serious expression. I want to make amends, not just to you, but to everyone I've hurt. I need to take responsibility for my actions. Emily nodded, impressed by his determination. That's a big step, Dad. But I believe you can do it. Just take it one day at a time. As the weeks passed, they began to rebuild their lives, one step at a time. Emily's competition loomed closer, and Jack offered to help her prepare. They spent evenings working on her speeches, practicing together in the motel room, laughter echoing as they bounced ideas off each other. Remember, it's not just about winning, Jack reminded her. It's about sharing your story and inspiring others. I know, Emily replied, her eyes shining with determination. But having you here means the world to me. I want to make you proud. You already do, Jack said, a smile breaking through his serious demeanor. I can't believe how far you've come. As the day of the competition arrived, Emily felt a mix of nerves and excitement. She stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her hair and smoothing her outfit. Jack watched from the doorway, his heart swelling with pride. You look amazing, he said, his voice filled with sincerity. Thanks, Dad, she replied, her stomach fluttering with anticipation. I couldn't have gotten this far without you. Remember to breathe and just be yourself, he encouraged. You've got this. With a final nod, Emily stepped out into the world, ready to face the challenge ahead. She felt her father's presence with her, a steady reminder of how far they had both come. As she took the stage, the lights shining bright, Emily felt a rush of adrenaline. She looked out into the audience, searching for familiar faces, and spotted Jack beaming with pride. In that moment, she knew she was not alone. With each word she spoke, she poured her heart into her message, sharing her journey of resilience and hope. The audience listened intently, drawn in by her passion and authenticity. She felt a connection with them, a shared understanding of the struggles they faced. When she finished, the applause echoed in her ears, a wave of appreciation washing over her. She stepped off the stage, exhilarated and filled with a sense of accomplishment. Jack rushed to her side, enveloping her in a warm embrace. You were incredible. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for being here, she said, her voice trembling with emotion. I couldn't have done it without you. As they walked out into the sunlight, Emily felt a sense of peace. The journey ahead would still have its challenges, but she was ready to face them with her father by her side. Together, they could overcome anything. In the weeks following the competition, Emily and Jack settled into a new routine. They spent their days working on Jack's recovery and Emily's personal development, each step forward bringing them closer together. However, the weight of their past loomed over them, reminding them that healing was a continuous journey. One rainy afternoon, as they sat in the motel room, Emily glanced at Jack, who was staring out the window, lost in thought. She could sense a heaviness in the air, an unspoken tension that had become increasingly familiar. "Dad, is everything okay?" she asked gently, her concern evident in her voice. Jack turned to her, his expression contemplative. "I've been thinking a lot about what's next for me. I want to put my past behind me, but I know I need to confront some things before I can truly move on." Emily felt a knot form in her stomach. "What do you mean? Is there something specific you need to do?" Jack sighed deeply, running a hand through his hair. "I need to reach out to the people I hurt. I've been selfish for so long, and I owe them an apology. It's time to take responsibility for my actions." The gravity of his words hung in the air, and Emily felt a mixture of pride and anxiety. "That's a big step, Dad. Are you sure you're ready for that?" "I think I have to be," he replied, his voice steady. "I can't keep running from my past. I want to be a better father and a better person. But I need to face the consequences of my choices first." Emily nodded, understanding the significance of this moment. "I'll support you, whatever you decide. Just know that you don't have to do it alone." Jack smiled gratefully, but the worry in his eyes remained. "Thank you, Emily. It means a lot to have you by my side." The next few days were filled with preparations. Jack spent hours writing letters to those he felt he had wronged, pouring his heart into each word. Emily watched him work, admiring his determination to make amends. She often offered feedback, encouraging him to be honest and vulnerable in his apologies. "I want these people to see how much I've changed," Jack said one evening, his brow furrowed in concentration. "I want them to understand that I'm not the same man I was before." "You are changing, Dad," Emily reassured him, "and they'll see that. You just have to be genuine and open." As Jack's letters took shape, he also decided it was time to confront his past in a more personal way. He made a list of people he wanted to meet in person, including old friends and acquaintances who had seen him at his worst. Emily accompanied him as he prepared to reach out, providing encouragement and support. On the day of his first meeting, Jack felt a mix of nerves and anticipation. He had chosen to meet an old friend named Tom, someone he had lost touch with during his struggles. Tom had been a constant presence during Jack's earlier years, and their friendship had been a casualty of Jack's decisions. "Are you ready?" Emily asked as they waited outside the coffee shop where they had agreed to meet. Jack took a deep breath, his hands trembling slightly. "I think so. I just hope he'll be open to hearing me out." "You've got this," Emily encouraged, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Just be honest about what you've been through. That's all you can do." As they entered the shop, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. Jack's eyes scanned the room until they landed on Tom, who was seated at a corner table. Tom looked up, his expression shifting from confusion to surprise as he recognized Jack. "Jack?" Tom said, standing up slowly. "Is that really you?" "Hey, Tom," Jack replied, his voice shaky but firm. "Thanks for meeting me." Tom gestured for Jack to sit, eyeing him curiously. "It's been a long time, man. I wasn't sure I'd ever see you again." Jack felt a wave of emotion wash over him as he took a seat. I know. I've been through a lot since we last spoke. I wanted to reach out to apologize for how I handled things, for disappearing from your life. Tom's expression shifted, and he leaned back in his chair. I heard things, you know. It wasn't pretty. I know, Jack said, his voice filled with remorse. I was in a dark place, and I pushed everyone away, including you. I'm sorry for that. I should have been a better friend. Tom studied Jack for a moment, his gaze unwavering. You hurt a lot of people, Jack. People cared about you. We didn't know how to help you because you wouldn't let us in. I understand, Jack replied, his heart heavy. I didn't want to drag anyone down with me. But I see now that I was wrong. I should have asked for help instead of running away. Tom nodded slowly, his expression softening. It's good to see you're trying to make amends. But it's going to take time for people to trust you again. I know, Jack said, determination evident in his voice. I'm committed to making things right. I'm working on myself every day, and I want to rebuild those connections. As they talked, the conversation flowed more easily. Jack shared stories of his journey toward recovery and the support he had found in Emily. Tom listened, his skepticism slowly fading as he saw the sincerity in Jack's eyes. I'm glad you're on the right path, Jack, Tom finally said, a hint of a smile breaking through. You've got a long way to go, but it sounds like you're serious about it. I am, Jack affirmed, feeling a weight lift off his shoulders. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. After their meeting, Jack emerged from the coffee shop with a newfound sense of hope. That went better than I expected, he exclaimed, a smile lighting up his face. Emily beamed with pride. You did amazing, Dad. I knew you could do it. Thanks for being there with me, he replied, pulling her into a quick hug. I couldn't have done it without your support. Over the following weeks, Jack continued to reach out to others he had wronged, and each meeting brought a mix of emotions, fear, anxiety, but also relief and forgiveness. Emily stood by him every step of the way, offering encouragement and love as he faced the challenges of rebuilding his past. One evening, as they returned to the motel after another successful meeting, Jack turned to Emily, his expression serious. I've been thinking a lot about my future. I want to do something meaningful, something that can help others who are struggling like I did. What do you have in mind? She asked, intrigued. I want to volunteer at the community center, he said, his eyes brightening. I want to give back and help others find their way, just like I'm trying to do. Emily's heart swelled with pride. That's a fantastic idea. You have so much to offer, Dad. Your experience can be a guiding light for others. I hope so, Jack replied, a sense of determination in his voice. I want to turn my mistakes into something positive. As Jack began to volunteer at the community center, he found a renewed sense of purpose. He connected with the kids, sharing his story and encouraging them to pursue their passions. Emily often joined him, helping with activities and witnessing the impact he was making. One day, while they were setting up for a youth event, a young boy approached Jack, his eyes wide with curiosity. Mister, are you a superhero? Jack chuckled, a warm smile spreading across his face. Not quite, but I'm trying to be a better person every day. The boy tilted his head, considering this. But you help people, right? That's what superheroes do. Emily felt a lump form in her throat as she watched her father's eyes shine with emotion. I try my best, Jack replied, leaning down to meet the boy's gaze. And you can be a superhero too, just by being kind and helping others. As the event continued, Emily marveled at the transformation she saw in her father. He was no longer just a man trying to escape his past. He was a beacon of hope for others, using his journey to inspire those around him. That evening, as they sat on the steps of the community center, watching the sun dip below the horizon, Jack turned to Emily with a sense of fulfillment. "Thank you for believing in me, Emily. I wouldn't be here without your support." "I always believed you could do it," she replied, a smile lighting up her face. "You're showing everyone that it's never too late to change." As they sat together, the bond between them grew stronger, a connection forged through shared struggles and newfound hope. They both understood that the path ahead would not always be easy, but they were ready to face it together. With each passing day, Emily felt her father becoming more of the man she had always wanted him to be. They were not just rebuilding their relationship. They were creating a new life filled with purpose, love, and the promise of a brighter future. As the weeks turned into months, Emily and Jack settled into a comfortable routine that felt both refreshing and stabilizing. Jack's commitment to his recovery and his newfound purpose at the community center infused their lives with a sense of direction that both had longed for. Emily continued to focus on her studies and personal growth, and with each passing day, she felt more confident in her abilities, knowing she had her father's unwavering support. One crisp fall morning, Emily woke up to the sound of leaves crunching underfoot as she glanced out the window. The sun poured through the window, casting a warm glow over the room. It felt like the perfect day for a new beginning. After a quick breakfast, she sat at the small table in their motel room, her mind buzzing with ideas for the upcoming community event, a fundraiser for local youth programs. This event wasn't just a project. It was an opportunity for her to take charge and apply everything she had learned over the past few months. "Dad, do you have a minute?" she called out, her voice filled with excitement. Jack emerged from the bathroom, a towel draped over his shoulder, a hint of curiosity in his eyes. "What's up?" "I'm organizing the fundraiser for the community center, and I'd love your help," Emily said, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "We need to come up with activities, food, and ideas to draw people in." "Absolutely. I'd love to help," Jack replied, a smile breaking across his face. "What do you have in mind?" Emily pulled out her notebook, filled with sketches and ideas. "I was thinking we could have a bake sale, games for the kids, and maybe even a small talent show. It would be a great way to showcase what the community has to offer." Jack's eyes lit up as he jotted down notes. "That sounds fantastic. And we could invite some local musicians to perform. Music always brings people together." "Great idea. I'll reach out to some local bands," Emily said, scribbling down the suggestion. "We can also set up a donation station to raise funds for the programs." As they brainstormed, Emily felt a deepening sense of camaraderie with her father, a partnership that had blossomed through their shared experiences. They spent the entire morning planning and organizing, laughter filling the room as they bounced ideas off each other. Jack's enthusiasm was infectious, and it fueled Emily's own excitement. Over the next several days, the community center buzzed with activity as Emily and Jack prepared for the fundraiser. They spent evenings decorating, setting up tables, and reaching out to local businesses for donations. Jack's commitment and Emily's organizational skills complemented each other perfectly. And soon, their vision for the event began to take shape. "Look at this place," Emily said one evening as they stood back to admire their work. The community center was transformed into a vibrant space adorned with colorful banners and handmade decorations. I can't believe we pulled this off. Just wait until everyone sees it, Jack said, pride evident in his voice. You've done an amazing job bringing this all together. The community is going to love it. On the day of the event, the sun shone brightly, and the air was filled with the mouth-watering scent of baked goods and the sound of laughter. Families gathered at the community center, drawn in by the festive atmosphere. Emily felt her heart race with excitement as she watched the community come together, and she felt a sense of pride in what they had accomplished. As the event unfolded, Emily moved from booth to booth, engaging with attendees and encouraging them to participate in the various activities. She felt a sense of purpose and fulfillment, knowing she was making a difference in her community. The bake sale was a hit, with cookies, cupcakes, and pies flying off the tables. Children eagerly ran from game to game, their laughter echoing through the halls. "Emily, look at this," a young boy shouted, holding up a colorful painting he had made at the arts and crafts station. "That's amazing," she exclaimed, kneeling down to admire his work. "You're a great artist. What inspired you to create this?" He grinned widely, filled with pride. "I wanted to make something special for my mom." She smiled, her heart swelling with joy at the sense of creativity flourishing around her. "I'm sure she's going to love it. Keep up the great work." As the day continued, Emily took a moment to step outside for some fresh air. The cool breeze felt refreshing against her skin, and she closed her eyes, savoring the moment. Just then, a familiar voice called out to her. "Hey, you!" Tom approached, a wide grin on his face, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "I couldn't miss this." "Tom, I'm so glad you came," Emily exclaimed, her smile widening as she hugged him. "What do you think?" "This is incredible. You've really brought the community together," he said, gesturing to the bustling activity around them. "It's nice to see everyone having so much fun." "Thanks. It feels great to see everyone come together," she replied, her heart swelling with pride. "I couldn't have done it without my dad's help." As they chatted, Emily noticed Jack mingling with some of the attendees, sharing his story and connecting with others who had faced similar struggles. She watched him with admiration, feeling grateful for the progress they had made together. He was no longer just her father. He was becoming a role model in the community. Later in the afternoon, after the bake sale had wrapped up and the talent show had begun, Emily joined Jack at the donation booth. They had set up a colorful display with jars labeled for different programs supported by the fundraiser. "Look at all these donations," she said, her eyes wide with amazement. "This is beyond what I expected." Jack's face lit up with joy. "This is fantastic. People really care, and it shows how much they appreciate what we're doing." Just then, a young girl approached their booth, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Excuse me, are you Jack Thompson?" she asked, her voice shy. "Yes, I am," Jack replied, kneeling down to meet her gaze. "I heard you were a hero," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with admiration. "You saved a family from a fire, right? My mom told me about it." Jack's face flushed with modesty. "I just did what anyone would do. It was a team effort." Emily stepped in, proud of her father. "He's a hero in more ways than one. He's also helping to make our community a better place." The girl nodded vigorously. "I want to be a hero too. Can I help?" "Of course," Jack replied, his heart warming at her enthusiasm. "Heroes come in all shapes and sizes, and every little bit helps. You can start by helping us with these donations." As the day began to wind down, Emily felt overwhelmed with gratitude. The connections they had made, the lives they had touched, and the community they had fostered all felt like a dream come true. "Thank you for believing in me, Dad," she said as they began to clean up. "I couldn't have done this without your support." "I'll always believe in you, Emily," Jack replied, his voice filled with sincerity. "You have a special gift for bringing people together. I'm proud to be your dad." As they cleaned up, Emily felt a sense of fulfillment. This event had not only strengthened her bond with Jack, but it also allowed her to contribute to the community in a meaningful way. As they drove back to the motel that evening, the sun setting behind them, Emily reflected on the day. "This feels like a new chapter for us, doesn't it?" she mused, glancing over at Jack. "It does," he agreed, a thoughtful expression on his face. "But we still have a long way to go. I want to keep pushing myself, to keep growing." "Me too," Emily replied, feeling a sense of determination. "We can take on anything together." With renewed hope for the future, Emily and Jack looked ahead to the challenges that lay before them, ready to face them together. They had come so far, but they understood that the journey was ongoing. They were learning to navigate their lives, one step at a time, hand in hand. As they settled back into the rhythm of their lives, Emily found herself inspired by the fundraiser's success. She began dreaming of bigger projects, ways to expand their impact on the community. With Jack by her side, she felt empowered to pursue her ideas. Together, they planned follow-up events and initiatives that would continue to support the local youth programs. Jack, too, began to envision his future beyond volunteering. He started considering ways to use his experiences to help others who faced similar struggles. He began researching local support networks and programs that focused on rehabilitation and recovery, wanting to be an active participant in the change he wished to see. One evening, as they were discussing their plans, Jack turned to Emily with a serious expression. "You know, I've been thinking about starting a mentorship program at the community center. We could help guide kids who might be facing challenges similar to what I went through." Emily's eyes lit up at the idea. "That's an amazing plan. We could help kids find their passions, provide resources, and offer support. It would be a great way for you to give back." "I'd love to have you involved in it as well," Jack said, his voice filled with excitement. "You have such a way with people, Emily. I think you could inspire a lot of young kids." "Count me in," she replied eagerly. "Let's make it happen." With renewed energy, they began to outline their vision for the mentorship program. They talked about how to recruit volunteers, connect with local schools, and create a curriculum that would engage and empower the youth in their community. As they dove deeper into planning, Emily felt a growing sense of purpose. She realized that this was more than just a project. It was a way for them to heal, to connect with their community, and to create a legacy of hope and resilience. The following months were a whirlwind of activity as they worked to launch the mentorship program. They reached out to local businesses for sponsorships, enlisted volunteers, and organized informational sessions to spread the word. With each passing day, they felt the excitement building within the community as people began to rally around their cause. Finally, the day of the program launch arrived. The community center was filled with eager faces, both young and old, ready to embark on this new journey together. Emily stood at the front of the room, her heart racing as she looked out over the crowd. Jack stood beside her, offering silent support, his presence grounding her. "Thank you all for being here today," Emily began, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. "We're excited to launch this mentorship program, and we believe it's going to make a real difference in our community." As she spoke, she noticed the faces of the young kids in the audience. their eyes wide with anticipation. She felt a surge of determination to inspire them, to share her own journey and encourage them to pursue their dreams. Jack stepped forward, his voice rich with emotion. I know firsthand how important it is to have someone to look up to, someone who believes in you. I want to be that person for you, to show you that no matter what challenges you face, you can overcome them. Cheers erupted from the audience, and Emily felt a rush of adrenaline. They were creating something special together, a bridge between generations, a source of hope for the future. As the event progressed, Emily and Jack engaged with the attendees, answering questions and sharing their vision for the program. They introduced mentors who had volunteered to help, each one eager to make a difference. The atmosphere was electric, filled with the promise of new beginnings. When the event concluded, Emily and Jack stood together, watching as families connected and exchanged information. It was a beautiful sight. Community members coming together, united by a common goal of support and growth. Look at what we've started, Jack said, his voice filled with awe. This is just the beginning. I can't believe how far we've come, Emily replied, her heart swelling with pride. And I know we can keep building on this momentum. As they packed up the remaining materials, Emily felt a sense of fulfillment that she had never experienced before. They were not just rebuilding their lives, they were creating a lasting impact on their community. With Jack by her side, she felt empowered to dream bigger and reach further. As they drove home that night, the stars twinkling above them, Emily looked over at Jack, her heart full of gratitude. Thank you for everything, Dad. You've made such a difference in my life. Jack smiled, his eyes shining with a mix of pride and love. You've made a difference in mine, Emily. I'm so proud of who you are becoming. Together, we can accomplish anything. With that promise echoing in their hearts, they looked ahead to the future, ready to face whatever challenges lay in store. They had each other, their community, and a shared vision of hope. And that was more than enough to keep them moving forward.